All right, welcome everybody. I see a lot of people have already logged on, so we're going to actually start on time for once today. Very exciting. Welcome to our November 2023 symposium. I'm really excited that today our occupational therapists are going to be presenting on sensory processing and sensory processing disorder. I know that they have worked really hard on this presentation. They've been working many weeks and working really hard on it. So I really implore you guys to really pay attention. And I know what they are presenting is worth your time and attention. So I also did want to let you know that today is my last symposium that I'm going to be hosting. Tammy Jersich is going to be taking over, and our next symposium won't be till February. It's been a pleasure working with all of you these last 5 years plus, and I know you will continue to continue on the mission and serve life well. So without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Miss Kim here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. The OT team and myself are excited to share this information with you. Crew.
Hi.
I need to ask everyone to stop what you're doing. Look at me. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Do you hear what I said to do? Okay, actors, stop. That is just an example of how it feels to have hypersensitivity to sounds. So when we're sitting in these rooms with our kiddos, we often are asking our kiddos to carry out a task and they're not doing it and not responding quickly enough because they are having a difficult time processing the information that we're saying to them because they're busy trying to discriminate all the other sounds around them. Unfortunately, sometimes our room does really sound like that. That's a made up scenario. So at this time, I'm going to ask everyone to stop what you're doing. Whether you're working, stop working. If you're eating, stop eating. If you're working on cutting, gluing, scissors, whatever you're doing right now, I need you to stop. I need you to face the computer, sit down, put your feet on the ground. Yep, the one that has the pen in their hand, put the pen down. If you're drinking, put the cup down. If you're fidgeting with your hands, stop fidgeting with your hands. If you're tapping, I need you to stop tapping and just listen to me. What do you hear?
My heartbeat.
What do you smell? I'm sure everyone's answering something different because we all process. We could be all in the same room and in the same moment, all experience the same event completely different. Those who know me know I'm an OT because I am hypersensitive to smells, touch. Do not light touch me because you will see a whole different side of Miss Kim. And meanwhile, I could be with a coworker and they love the light touch. If you guys were here earlier, Miss Millie was brushing me. It's for some kiddos, it's calming. For me, it is not calming. It sends me in this rage because I do not like the texture. So just as we go on with today's topic, just know that there's not a one size fits all for anything that we're talking about. So going into that whole, what do you feel? How's your jaw at this very moment? How many of you have your jaw that's tense? Are your legs crossed? Are you shaking your foot? Miss Jamie, as I'm sitting here, the whole table's shaking. These are all activities that we do without even acknowledging that we are regulating ourselves. We're asking individuals to sit still, listen to us. And when that is being done, we are focusing, the kids, even myself, are focusing more on, I have to sit still. I can't touch anything. I can't move my feet. I can't do this, than actually listening to what the person speaking to them is saying. So you guys can go back to doing what you're doing because like myself, I typically work and listen. So just as we go on with this symposium, I want you guys to stop and think about where you sit when you get in a bus, on a car, in an airplane. How do you choose a seat? Why are you choosing that seat? When you're going about your day, are you a pen clicker? Are you someone who constantly fidgets? When you're tired, what do? I know, well, back in the day when I drank caffeine, I would get up and drink coffee. I'm a salt crunch person. When I'm feeling sluggish, I run and get a treat that is going to be satisfying to me. We all, throughout our day, without even thinking, are regulating ourselves. Unfortunately, the kiddos and the adults we work with do not have the ability to say, I need this because I'm feeling like this. So as therapists and providers and just anyone that we're working with, these children and adults, we are constantly private investigators. We need to try to figure out what each person is feeling and how we can better help them regulate themselves throughout the day. And again, like I said, it looks different from every kid. It could look different for the same kid on a different day, hour by hour. So with that being said, today we are going to be talking about sensory processing and its importance in the learning process. I'm going to now pass it over to Miss Angela.
Miss Millie, I think was going to go next.
Oops, that's my bad.
That's all right.
Oops.
Back. All right. Okay, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, Kim. So we have some objectives for today. We're hoping to hopefully help you all know about what sensory processing is. And then we will also learn about the 8 sensory systems, not 5, involved in that process. And then after that, we will go over what happens when sensory processing does not work, which is sensory processing disorder, and what symptoms of that disorder look like. And then lastly, we'll go over about treatment and how to treat those symptoms that we OTs typically utilize. And then at the end, we will have a pop quiz. So we're giving out 2 $10 gift cards to Amazon. So hopefully you'll all be listening very well. And we hope that you would learn, some information from our symposium today. So we're really doing a basic overview of sensory processing and sensory processing disorder, since, there's just so much about it. So without further ado, Angela will take over.
All right. Hello, everyone. So sensory processing. So what exactly are we talking about with that? Sensory processing is a normal process where the brain and the nervous system receive information from all the senses, and then we interpret this information to create a more appropriate motor and behavioral response. And typical sensory processing lets us respond to this input we receive both automatically, so inappropriately. And for most of us, we don't even think about it. It happens seamlessly. And like Kim was saying earlier, we all have challenges with sensory processing. So occasionally, I know me myself, so I'm a little congested. So, and so different things throughout our day can affect us, and this can be normal. However, as many as 1 in 6 children deal with a sensory processing dysfunction that affects their daily life. And in addition, about 98% of children on the autism spectrum also deal with a sensory processing disorder. And this occurs when sensory signals aren't organized and processed into appropriate behavioral responses. So next I'm going to be handing things off to Maria, and we're going to talk a little bit about the sensory systems in depth.
Okay, so contrary to popular belief, there are more than 5 senses. The most common are sight or visual, hearing or auditory, smell or olfactory, touch or tactile, and taste or gustatory. But what about the other 3? In this section of our presentation, we're going to be talking about the other 3 forgotten senses as well, which includes balance or vestibular, proprioception or body awareness, and interoception, the internal sense. We're going to talk about how all 8 of these sensory systems work by using the following format. We'll talk about the sensory input in the environment around us, processing this input into our brain and our body's response to each of these informations. So first is our sense of sight. Our visual system helps us determine what is important to pay attention to in our environment. Think of your eye as a camera that forms a clear image of the world. Like a camera, the eye automatically adjusts to differences in illumination and focuses on objects of interest to us. The key word is the interest to each of us. The control center for vision is actually located in the back of our brain, not in the eyes. Once our eyes capture the light in our environment, the information is sent back to the back of the brain, or the occipital area, which is in charge of telling us what is important to focus on in our environment. This is really important for maintaining attention. Next, we have our sense of smell. Olfaction is the technical term for smell and is located in the roof of our nasal cavity. Smell works when odor molecules in the air enter the nose. Receptors from your nose sends the information to your brain, which then interprets the odor.
So I'm kind of leading into our next sensory system, which is our gustatory system, which is just kind of a technical term for taste. Taste is picked up by gustatory receptors in our tongue, and it's linked with the ability to detect sweet and sour, bitter, salty, and spicy flavors. I want to note that taste and smell work really closely together and oftentimes trigger memories. I just want you to think for a moment if you've ever had a bad experience with a particular taste or smell. So if you have had one of those moments, now even the thought of that smell or taste might make you gag, because of that negative experience. I know, I've had an experience like that when I was sick, with eating a certain food in the past. And now I want you to think about, during lunchtime, when we're maybe in the cafeteria, your coworkers' foods, or when we're all sitting in the cafeteria with our clients, think of all the potential smells and tastes that are in the cafeteria during our lunch and snack times that we're processing at that time. All right, next we have our auditory sense, which is our sense of hearing. Our auditory receptors in the inner ear, they identify loud, soft, high, near, and far noises. And this system is really sensitive, and to put it into perspective, the auditory system responds about 1,000 times faster than our visual system. It's a very core sense. The ear, or what's inside the ear, is responsible for hearing. And inside our ears is a structure called the cochlea, which receives vibrations from the air and turns them into sounds. And you may notice that some of our clients on campus have cochlear implants, which are implants behind the ear, which send signals from the inner ear to the brain. Our visual and our auditory systems work very closely together. And you may notice that you have difficulty concentrating visually when your ears are overstimulated by the sounds around you. Which leads us to this moment, that moment when you can't find a parking spot, so you turned on the volume, the music in your car, to see better. I don't know if anybody can relate to this. I know I can, especially when I'm maybe somewhere new, somewhere busy. So I want you to think back. So maybe think of a time when you drove a car to a new place and you needed to park, and how many of you guys maybe did this, turn down the volume of music so you could see better. And then I want you to think about overstimulation, like Kim was talking about. In the beginning of our symposium, and when we're overstimulated, we all kind of have these moments, and we might need to drown out one sense so we could focus better. Another. Let's think back to when we first learned to drive a car. Did you practice, on a busy highway, or did you maybe go somewhere quiet where you could focus better for learning? Maybe go somewhere less busy, like a back road. Now with all that, I want you to think about, so the noise level, you know, on our campus at any given time, and this is kind of different depending on the environment and the day. And just a little fun fact. So did you know that repeated and continued exposure of noise above 70 decibels over time can cause hearing loss? So we're focusing on all this information, and also we want to kind of think about sound health on our campus. And just as a reference, about 60 decibels is just normal conversation. So, and again, so we talked about 70 decibels, so over time can lead to hearing loss. So we really want to be kind of aware of what the sound level is, so in our environment, so for learning and just for our overall sound health. I know there's different apps, so online, where you can pick up like a decibel meter and kind of see, so at the time, so what the sound level is at any given time. Next, we have our sense of touch. This is our tactile system, and it's how we feel all the touch sensations, including vibration, temperature, textures, and pain. And we all have receptors, so in our skin, all over our body, that send signals to our brain. And these signals let us know when we've touched something and what we've touched. Our tactile system lets us identify familiar items without even looking. So we call this a sense of stereognosis. It lets us know when the water we touch is too hot or too cold, and if we are touching something rough, smooth, hard, or soft, so that this sense isn't intact, so it can definitely impact our safety. Just a fun fact, did you know that our skin is the largest organ and contains more than 4 million sensory receptors? So very sensitive system. Next, we have our vestibular sense. This is kind of one of those hidden senses like Maria talked about earlier. And this system is located in our inner ear and contributes to balance and orientation in space. The inner ear has 3 canals that sense different type of movement, up and down, so side to side, turning and tilting. This system sends signals to parts of the brain that control our eye movements as well, and help keep us upright. So very foundational system. The vestibular system helps us to stand and move without falling and focus on a single object even when the head is in motion. This system is kind of thought of as our orienting system. And when it dysfunctions, we can feel really unsafe. This system can impact our awareness of sounds and the coping of our sounds. So with like different loud sounds. And so is involved with the ability to receive and process auditory information. I want you to think for a moment, how well you listen to what others are saying when you're in a state of fight or flight or you're overstimulated. I know today, so I kind of mentioned, so it's cold and flu season, so I have a cold. This system can also be impacted by fluid or water in the ear. I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever had an ear infection or had fluid in your ear. It can kind of leave you feeling a little bit off balance, which can contribute to focus, or lack thereof. The vestibular system influences a lot. It influences our motor control and motor planning that are necessary to use the fine muscles to produce intelligible speech. And when this system, it's so crucial for auditory processing. So oftentimes, when someone, like a child, has difficulty with vestibular dysfunction, they can frequently develop problems with language and auditory processing. Next, we're going to talk about proprioception. Maria is going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
We have an activity with this one, so we're going to kind of both be in the camera.
So proprioception is your body's ability to know where it is in space. This sensory system is made up of our muscles, joints, and tendons, which provides us with a subconscious awareness of our body positioning. So we are going to test this out. So I want you to find a partner for this activity. Anybody near you? So my partner is going to be Angela. So one of you is going to close your eyes. Okay. After finding a friend in the room, close your eyes. With your eyes closed, have your friend take one of your arms and move it up or down,
Very trusting right now.
left or right, diagonal, any way you want, just be gentle. So when you're doing this, I'm going to have you, the person with the closed eyes, you need to be very trusting of your friend here and be very limp. So whoever's holding your arm should be in charge. So I want you to choose a position for your friend's arm to be in. So for example, I'm going to put Angela up here with an okay sign. So you could have them held in a salute. You can have them put their arms behind their back. Do whatever you want. Just be careful and have fun with it. So this is the position I've chosen for Angela. I'm going to have her relax for a moment and I'm going to make her go back up into that position. Now you can choose for them to have their position either very quickly or slowly. So I'm going to go up quickly and keep her hand like that. So for those of you with the eyes closed, keep your arm exactly where your friend positioned you. Now, with your other arm, mirror, keep your eyes closed, but mirror the same position with your other arm. So you should look the same on either side.
Am I in the camera? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I in the camera?
Okay. So for those of you with the eyes closed, open your eyes. This is one way of testing proprioception. Although your eyes were closed and you didn't use any of your muscles to move your arms, you knew exactly where your arm was positioned. Not only were you able to tell where your arm was being moved, but you were also able to tell how quickly or slowly it was being moved to get there. You were also able to copy this position with your partner's other arm, or I'm sorry, you were able to copy this position with your other arm even without seeing it. This is because the muscles, joints, and tendons responded to various stretches and sent this information to your brain. When proprioception is functioning correctly, your body is automatically adjusted in different positions. So, for example, sitting upright in a chair, we're able to sit upright in a chair rather than falling over to the side, falling backwards or forwards, side to side. Also, being able to use utensils, getting it from the plate to your mouth without spilling. And our final sense, the most forgotten sense, is interoception. Interoception is basically all of the senses that we feel inside of our body. Think of your inner organs like your heart, your stomach, and your bladder. These organs communicate to your brain when you are hot or cold, hungry, thirsty, tired, or need to use the restroom. This sense is incredibly important in helping us interpret our own emotions. Think of how your body feels after being outside during the summer. Your heart rate starts to beat faster. Your body starts to sweat, causing your internal organs to become dehydrated. Your interoceptors take this information from your organs in your torso and communicates it to your brain. Your brain converts these feelings into emotions and actions. Your brain may say, hey, I'm roasting in here, get me some water. Once you drink enough water, your blood vessels get bigger or expand. Your heart rate starts to slow down, and the organs inside of your body become hydrated. Here's another example. You've been on campus at Life for 6 hours. After waking up in the morning and your stomach starts to growl, the nerves in your stomach tell your brain that it's empty. Your brain says, I'm hungry, give me some food. Many of our kiddos on campus don't have a strong sense of interoception. We often see our consumers have an increase in behaviors, seemingly at random. This could be a result of the brain not receiving proper information from their internal body. Maybe the brain doesn't know that the bladder is fully extended or full of fluid, and they need to use the restroom. Maybe the inside of their body is overheated because of the weather, or maybe they even have a fever. Maybe their stomach is cramping because it's been empty for too long, and their blood sugar is low and they need to eat something. All of these factors lead us into sensory processing disorders.
And now we're going to talk about sensory processing disorder, also called SPD. According to Jane Ayers, who was an OT, psychologist, and neuroscientist who pioneered sensory integration, sensory processing disorder, or SPD, is a neurological traffic jam that prevents certain parts of the brain from receiving the information needed to interpret sensory information correctly. The breakdown in the sensory process happens specifically in the brain after the sensory information is received from the senses, resulting in maladaptive behavior or motor responses. Another example, picture a client coming to therapy and entering the therapy room, hearing the vacuum going. Upon coming in, the student responds, runs and takes off, and goes into the gym and hides in the closet for 20 minutes. Imagine how scared the student was, how the vacuum noise was very scary and disorganizing to her. She received the vacuum noise through her sense of hearing, processed it, organized it, but interpreted it incorrectly, resulting in a fight or flight response. Some interesting facts about SPD: more commonly seen in gifted children and children with ADHD and autism, just to name a few of the disorders, which is actually a majority of our population here at Life. Another study shows that 1 in every 6 children experience sensory processing difficulties significant enough to affect their aspects of everyday life functions. So we can see that their self-care skills are impacted. We can also see problems with learning and academic skills. Their attention and focus are affected. Their ability to work with others, make friends, and simply make sense of their world. Another study shows that their sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems are not functioning well. So it makes sense that our kiddos are over-responsive or sensitive to certain sensations and tend to fight, flee, or shut down. It also makes sense that a lot of our kiddos have GI and sleep issues. Another research shows that there's not an exact cause of SPD, but it is actually found that it is often inherited. So in working with clients for feeding and OT for a while, I do see this coming into play. For example, I have a few clients that the parents want me to work on teaching them to eat fruits and vegetables, and later finding out that a dad or mom don't even eat fruits and vegetables. So that aversion is passed on to the kids. And then in OT, we work on a lot on trying to teach kids to tolerate messy play, because we encounter that with making arts and crafts and self-care tasks. And some of the kids have a hard time tolerating messy play, and later finding out that a mom or a dad don't like to be messy. They don't like their hands being messy. So I can see that, coming into play. Then lastly, another interesting fact is that through research, OT has been shown as to be an effective therapy intervention to address SPD symptoms. And then now we go to some symptoms, and we're going to go over the symptoms that we may see in preschool. So be thinking about the classroom, the kids that we have in Miss Brittany's classroom, Miss Tiki's classroom, maybe some of Nicole's kiddos, our little kiddos in BPS, and be thinking about their behaviors and their skills. Some of these symptoms we may see are oversensitive to different sensations such as touch, noise, smells, and other people. And so, you know, again, having being over responsive or sensitive to these input may cause them to fight, run, or shut down. Conversely, they may also appear unaware of certain senses, such as touch. We can see that as also maybe being unaware of pain or temperature. Another thing is delays in self-care skills, such as dressing, eating, feeding, sleeping, and toilet training. They may also appear floppy, weak, and clumsy, always leaning on other people or furniture for support. They may be on the go. They may be space invaders. They may be in constant movement. And they may often get upset or unable to calm down. So you'll see frequent and longer temper tantrums because they lack the appropriate coping skills. And then we go to SPD symptoms that we might see in grade school. So we can be thinking about the kids in Miss Kelly's room, Miss Julia's room, our kids in track 4 BPS. So be thinking about their behaviors and their skills. So again, we see over-responsive or oversensitivity and under responsivity to different senses such as noise, touch, and smells. They appear easily distracted and overwhelmed, especially in busy classrooms, in the cafeteria and other environments. They may crave movement, and you can see them not being able to sit still or stand still. They may be aggressive when they are under stress, activating their fight mode or of the fight or flight mode response. They may also show poor handwriting and drawing skills, difficulty riding a bike, catching a ball, and other sports. They may also have poor coping and social skills. And then lastly, for our adults and adolescents, these are the symptoms we may see. Are oversensitive again and undersensitivity to different sensations. They may have poor self-esteem and afraid of failing at new tasks, so they may not even want to try because they want things to be perfect. They can be unmotivated. They can appear lethargic, slow-moving, or they can actually be always on the go. They can be impulsive and distractible. They can be disorganized and leave tasks uncompleted. They can also appear clumsy with poor gross motor and fine motor skills. And they may have difficulty or have a hard time staying focused during class or in a meeting. And they also may have poor social and coping skills and have difficulty making friends. Now we're going to talk about the different subtypes of SPD. So Erin's going to go and categorize all these different symptoms.
All right, thank you, Millie. So over the next few slides, I'm going to go over each modulation disorder or sensory disorder and some of the characteristics of each. It's going to sound a little bit like overview, but so the 6 that we have are, that's a lot actually, but the 3 we have are sensory modulation disorder, which involves sensory over-responsivity, sensory under-responsivity, and sensory seeking, sensory craving. Then we have sensory-based motor disorder, which involves dyspraxia, which I will explain in the next slide, and postural disorders. And then sensory discrimination disorder, I'm going to explain every single one of those. So first off, I'll start with dyspraxia. So dyspraxia can be described as a difficulty of thinking or planning, just skilled movement. So This may become commonly seen with our kids for those that have to do tasks that involve multiple steps. So we can think of hygiene, brushing teeth. You have to use multiple skilled movements to wash or clean all 4 quadrants of the mouth. Same thing with combing hair, those skilled movements. This can be challenging for some of our kids. For postural disorders, we may see our kids lean on peers, they may lean on tables or staff, just because they have that poor core stability and they may appear weak and have poor endurance. Next, I'm going to go over some of the discrimination disorders. So like we did earlier with Kim, an auditory discrimination disorder could be an example of it's a loud room. A teacher calls the name of a student, the student can't comprehend or hear his name because there's other noises. He's not able to discriminate between those noises in the room. Next, we could have visual discrimination. Example could be a child trying to find a colored puzzle piece in a sea of puzzle pieces, and this could be frustrating and they may not want to engage in the task. Next, we have taste. I know it was mentioned earlier, but some of our friends on campus may not be able to discriminate between sour, sweet, or salty foods. And then for olfactory smells, I feel like this could be very common in our cafeteria, but some of our friends, they may be sensitive to certain smells of a peer. Some of their foods may upset them, the smell of it. And yeah, that's one thing we commonly see in the cafeteria. Next, we're going to go over tactile discrimination difficulties. So some of our children on campus, they may have difficulty determining the difference between temperatures. So they could be reaching for hot or cold items, which could be unsafe. For those with vestibular difficulty with discrimination, they may have a fear of swinging or going down slides. They also actively may avoid tilting their head back. So this could make, for example, hair washing challenging. Next, we have, Next, we have proprioception. So this is like that example we did earlier. They may not understand where their body is in space. So some of our friends may struggle with putting on a backpack. They may have a difficulty reaching their arm backwards to put their arms through the armholes. And then for interoception, like mentioned earlier, they may not understand when they have to go to the bathroom or when their bladder feels full or when they are hungry or thirsty. So predisposition to for sensory overresponsivity, they may withdraw from being touched or not want that tactile. They may refuse to brush teeth or dislike using silverware. They may cover their ears when things are too loud, such as a fire drill. I know we kind of may have experienced that earlier this week. They may avoid swings or slides, avoid playground structures, and they may become upset with many visually stimulating things in a room. And then, as mentioned earlier, they may get upset in the cafeteria with different smells of food. For those that are under-responsive, they may need that extra input. So they may need to be hugged tighter or to register that touch input. They may want to chew on clothing or a toothbrush or even bite themselves. They may seek to use the swing a lot or hang upside down if they need that vestibular input and their just body's not getting it. They may not be able to hear their name called if they have auditory under-responsivity. They may seek extra bright lights just because their body needs that and they're just not getting it. They may have poor body awareness and clumsiness, and then they also may just seek those strong smells. And then for our sensory craving friends, they may be constantly on the move. They may need to touch everything. They may be space invaders and can be overly affectionate. They may constantly want to jump, crash, run, all those things just to get what their body is needing. And so next, I'm going to pass it to Donna, and she's going to take over treatment.
Hello. So now that we've got all that information, let's talk about what we can do about it. So first, for over-responsive friends, if you're over-responsive to touch, you can warn them before you touch them. Remember that they might find hugs to be uncomfortable. Gradually introduce new textures. Allow them to attempt to complete activities independently, as physical assistance may be aversive to them. Approach them from the front so they see what to expect. Turn their clothes inside out to reduce contact with uncomfortable seams, and remove tags or labels. For those who are over-responsive to sound, decrease outside noise by closing doors and windows. Provide noise-canceling headphones. Provide a quiet space for them to work. Prepare them to enter a noisy or crowded space. Provide earplugs or music. Create a screened workspace. Position them away from doors and windows. If they're over-responsive to visual stimuli, calm the environment by lowering the lights, let them wear sunglasses, close curtains or blinds, reduce visual clutter, create a screened workplace, and remove the aversive stimulus. If they are over-responsive to proprioceptive input, break down activities into smaller, more manageable steps. Use visual cues such as a finish line so they know when they're done. Provide opportunities for heavy work such as animal walks, carrying and lifting heavy objects, climbing and jumping. If they are over-responsive to smell, provide a fragrance-free environment. Limit the use of scented lotions, deodorants, perfumes, fabric softeners, cleaners in the room, etc. If they're over-responsive to movement, provide calming activities such as swinging in linear movements, which is side to side or front to back, slow rocking in a rocking chair, or gently bouncing on a therapy ball. For those who are under-responsive to touch, these are the students that hold others tightly or intentionally crash into things. Provide weighted blankets or toys, provide joint compression, use light touch, provide opportunity for cold water play, and if they chew on clothing or other non-food items, provide an appropriate chew tool. If they are under-responsive to sound, use visual supports to back up the verbal information. Ensure that others are aware of their undersensitivity so they can communicate effectively. Provide opportunities for them to enjoy louder and faster music. If they are under-responsive to proprioceptive input, these students will stand too close to others, bump into others, and appear clumsy. Provide opportunities for them to use the crash pad, to jump, to do activities with unpredictable movements, to use colored tape to indicate boundaries. Teach the arm length rule for personal space. Position furniture around the edges of the room to make it easier to navigate through the space. If they're under-responsive to movement, encourage activities to help develop the vestibular system, such as using a rocking horse, using swings or roundabouts, seesaws, and catching a ball. Practice walking smoothly up curbs or steps. Swinging in a spinning motion is alerting. When providing spinning activities, make sure you watch their body language for signs that they need to stop, such as their eye movements, their facial expressions, and their skin color. And I can't see that. Sorry. A tailored plan of sensory diet is a tailored plan of physical activities and accommodations designed to meet the child's sensory needs. This type of treatment has nothing to do with food. The goal is to get kids in a just right state and consists of sensory activities that help children to feel calm and organized, which then helps them to obtain an optimal state for learning, attention, and behaving appropriately. As a child learns to self-regulate sensorially, their energy level, behavior, emotion, and attention through the use of sensory diet, skills such as concentrating, sharing, taking turns, and becoming more mature quickly. Also become more mature quickly, sorry. This enables a child to move from depending on others to beginning to manage tasks or situations by themselves. A sensory diet could cover the whole day or simply an activity at a certain time. This sample covers bedtime, which would include jumping, taking a warm bath, brushing teeth with the vibrating toothbrush, and reading a book while sitting in a rocking chair before going to bed. Page. How to tell if your child can benefit from a sensory diet. If a child has sensory processing dysfunction, which requires management by a sensory diet, this might be demonstrated by the child being very physically active to the point that they cannot settle to a task, looking tired and lethargic or vague and daydreamy, becoming wound up with physical activity, being unable to settle after being in busy environments, having difficulty controlling impulses, having trouble modulating the tone of the voice used, being restless at group time or in crowds, being too rough in play, and failing to understand personal space or invading others inappropriately. A good sensory diet will include movement breaks, fidget items, sensory seating, heavy work, soothing sights and sounds, as well as calming smells that can assist with nervous system function and attentiveness. If you cannot address each of these in your classroom, consider choosing even one or two of these will have a tremendous impact. Move classroom furniture at the beginning or end of the day. Erase the smartboard using a cloth. Add movable or alternative seating options into the classroom, such as chair cushions, standing at easels, bungee cord added to the chair legs, bean bags, or lying prone on the floor, etc. And it's somebody else's turn. Sorry. Oh, we're going to an activity.
All right. Okay, that was a lot. How's everyone doing? Who's ready for a pop quiz? Debbie's ready for a pop quiz.
Is somebody monitoring it?
Okay, so the first, is everyone ready? Yeah. Do we get a thumbs up?
Anybody answer?
Okay, so the first one, the first $10 gift card to Amazon requires 2 answers. So we're gonna play this video and you have to tell us, you have to type it, whoever types the first person to type, the question is 2-part. Which of the 8 sensory systems is primarily involved in this video? And what subtype of SPD is demonstrated in this video? Oh no, shoot. Ah!
Answer.
I did. Oh my gosh. Never
Hey,
mind.
quick, type the answer.
Oh, Steve did.
No, you put proprioception.
No, wrong answer. Okay. All right, keep going. We still need an answer.
Well, he did say.
He gets the vestibular wasn't proprioception. He didn't give us the second one.
All right, it's 2-part.
I'm glad you did that.
Fail.
I guess we'll have to show the Steve card.
Steve, stop.
Maybe we're not. 8 systems.
8. Okay,
Says where are we sending the answer?
you can type.
Just have him do it as a group chat. Or the Zoom.
Yeah, I can see it.
So you can send your answers either to Millie on Elevate or in the chat here.
Debbie.
On
Just
Zoom.
send it.
Debbie.
We got it.
Okay, we
Debbie
have
got
an
it.
answer. We have an answer from Debbie Powell. So the correct answer is vestibular or the balance system. That's always being used when our kiddos are on the swing. And our kiddo here is sensory craving or sensory seeking.
Nice job, Debbie. All right, for the next question. Okay, for the next question, why would an OT start a session with swinging, climbing, playing in the gym, or any other sensory-based activity?
Brittany Buck got it first.
Who did?
Brittany Buck.
All right, Brittany Buck got the right answer. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I will hand you your gift card.
Should we go?
Thanks,
through
you.
them?
Any
To
questions?
help with the notes, they can attend.
Really open it up to any questions.
All right, so do you guys have any questions with the presentation?
Do we have?
Oh, yeah, that was us. That's street that was.
No, you guys didn't submit it.
There was a sensory diet with the original.
What was the question?
We could probably send out some resources on.
Can you email out the PowerPoint?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
email.
we can email the
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Should we include that resource too?
We'll include a resource for everyone as well, in addition to the PowerPoint slides.
Any specific ones that you guys wanted, what information? That is right. That's the main.
Is somebody closing it in?
Noel.
All right, well, thank you for being with us here today. I think Noelle's going to close us out, but we will email the PowerPoint and our other resources to everyone. And if you have any questions, just ask one of your OTs. Thank you.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, well, I don't have much more to say, so just want to thank all the OTs. I think it was awesome how you all participated in that as well, and did such a great job explaining what is a pretty complicated concept. So thank you for that. And yes, we will send out the PowerPoint and those resources. And with that, again, next one's not till February. And thanks for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you.